Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping into a topic today that's, well, it's really at the core of how our cities are evolving and, frankly, how we live in them. Forget wading through loads of complex reports. We're pulling out the key stuff from one very specific source for you. Today, it's all about Chapter 4 from a really significant book. The full title is Smart Cities, China's Model of Success, and it's written by Eduardo Moreno. Now, just so you know, for the rest of our chat, when we talk about the author of this specific work, we'll just call him Moreno. And our goal, to really unpack what's inside that fourth chapter, it zooms right in on data governance in China's smart cities. And this isn't just about tech specs or art. It's about how data is managed, how it's secured, how it's used across all sorts of city functions, transport, utilities, and the big ones, security and your privacy. So yeah, lean in. There are some pretty critical insights Moreno shares here.
Absolutely. Moreno's chapter 4, it really starts by acknowledging the just the incredible speed of tech progress in smart cities. We're talking Internet of Things, AI, big data analytics. All this generates just massive, truly massive amounts of data everywhere. And, while that opens doors for amazing efficiency and better city management, it definitely brings some serious challenges too, especially around, well, how do you govern this huge ocean of information?
Oh, yeah, let's unpack that challenge then. When you've got data pouring in from, I don't know, traffic lights, cameras, smart meters, maybe even health trackers, what does Moreno really spotlight in Chapter 4 as the things needing super careful attention?
He basically focuses on two really interconnected pillars. The first one, maybe the most fundamental, is getting security and privacy right. With data coming from everywhere, Moreno really hammers home the need for a really robust framework. You've got to deal with vulnerabilities, protect personal info.
Yeah.
It's critical.
Security for, yeah, that totally makes sense. If the data isn't safe, the rest kind of falls apart, doesn't it? So what does Moreno's chapter actually say about how China approaches keeping all this city-scale data secure?
Well, according to Moreno, they've put specific regulations and technical standards in place. There's a big emphasis on making sure data transmission and storage are secure. He talks about specific measures like advanced encryption, scrambling the data so it's unreadable without the right key.
Okay.
And multi-factor authentication, which means more than just a password to get access. Plus, things like continuous network monitoring.
Ah, so watching for problems in real time.
Exactly. To spot threats and react quickly, Moreno frames these as, absolutely vital for protecting the systems from cyber attacks and keeping the data reliable.
Got it. Robust technical stuff. But, okay, the other side of that coin. Privacy, always the big question. When cities collect so much data movements, health hints, how much power you use, how does Chapter 4 say they tackle the very real concerns people have about their privacy?
Yeah, privacy is definitely presented as a major challenge in the chapter. It acknowledges that tension, right? Using data for the city's good versus protecting the individual. Moreno discusses the techniques they use to track and manage this. He mentions data anonymization
Right.
and pseudonymization. These are ways to either strip out or obscure the bits of data that could identify a specific person.
So like replacing a name with a commute or something.
Exactly, that's pseudonymization.
Yeah.
You can still analyze patterns, but you don't know who the individual is. The chapter also stresses strict access controls.
Meaning only certain people get to see certain data.
Precisely. And ensuring data is only used for the specific reason it was collected, not for, other random analyses down the line, preventing that kind of misuse.
Okay, so technical methods to protect the data and control its use. Does Moreno's chapter mention anything else? Like, how do you build trust with the actual people whose data it is? Technical fixes are one thing, public buy-in is another.
Oh, definitely. The chapter really highlights the importance of public awareness and transparency. Moreno points out that telling citizens what data is being collected, why it's needed, and how it's used, that's absolutely vital for privacy protection and, crucially, for building that trust.
Makes sense. People need to understand the system.
Exactly. They need to feel confident their information is handled responsibly. Moreno also briefly mentions international collaboration in the chapter.
Oh, how so?
Just the idea that sharing best practices on regulations, maybe harmonizing some standards globally, could make these smart city systems stronger and potentially build broader public confidence too.
Huh. Interesting how all those pieces connect the tech security, the privacy methods, the transparency efforts. It's not just one thing. Okay, so Moreno lays out security and privacy as that foundational layer for data governance. What's the next big theme he gets into in this chapter? How does data actually change how the city works?
Right, that leads straight into the second key theme in Chapter 4, sector integration. Moreno describes this as absolutely fundamental if you want truly holistic urban development. It's about breaking down those old walls between different city industries.
Walls, like energy, transport, healthcare.
Exactly. Energy, transportation, healthcare, public utilities, even things like public safety. The idea is to merge them seamlessly using advanced tech and data analytics.
Seamlessly merging whole city sectors using data. Okay, now it gets really fascinating. How does that actually happen on the ground? What examples does Moreno give in Chapter 4?
He gives quite a few concrete examples. For energy, he talks about integrating smart grids with renewables and energy-efficient tech. It's not just about managing power flow. It's about real-time monitoring of demand across the whole city, dynamically balancing the load, optimizing distribution, all based on data. The
Wow.
goal is to cut consumption, lower emissions, make the grid more reliable.
So data lets the power generation talk to the power users, basically. Okay, what about getting around town? Transportation.
For transportation, Moreno points to integrating different networks, public transport, ride-sharing services, even EV charging stations. Data analytics come in to optimize bus routes, manage traffic flow live, coordinate schedules between, say, trains and buses, and generally push towards more sustainable, efficient ways for people to move around.
So moving away from separate systems towards one big data-guided mobility network makes sense. And healthcare, that seems complex to integrate. What does Moreno say there?
Yeah, in healthcare, the chapter highlights integrating things like telemedicine, electronic health records, EHRs, and health monitoring systems. The aim is to use data to improve access, especially for people maybe far from clinics, through telemedicine.
Right.
Integrated EHRs mean doctors get a fuller picture of a patient's history, which helps coordinate care better, especially if you see different specialists or visit different clinics. And data from monitoring systems, well, that could even help spot potential public health issues early on at a population level.
So data helps both the individual patient and the wider public health picture. Interesting. Okay, one more public services. How does data tie in there?
Moreno mentions e-governance platforms. These streamline how citizens interact with government, think applying for permits online, paying bills, maybe even virtual public consultations. Data makes it faster, easier.
As paperwork, hopefully.
Hopefully. Another example is smart waste management, using sensors in bins to tell collection trucks when they're full.
So they don't waste trips on half-empty bins.
Exactly. The data optimizes the collection routes, saves fuel, cuts costs, keeps the city cleaner. It's all driven by that data feed.
That really connects the dots, doesn't it? How data isn't just stored somewhere, it's actively being used like connective tissue across the whole city. Seems like a huge technical challenge, though. What does Moreno say underpins all of this? What's the absolute must-have to make this sector integration work?
He really emphasizes that a robust data infrastructure is essential.
Yeah.
Absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
And that's not just, having servers. It's the whole system. Reliably collecting data, securely storing it, and crucially, being able to quickly analyze these huge, diverse streams of information coming from all these different sectors.
Right.
It's a sophisticated infrastructure, plus the advanced analytics, the ability to actually make sense of the data, find patterns, predict things that allows for that informed cross-sector decision-making and planning.
So it's the pipes and the brain, basically, the infrastructure to move the data and the analytics to understand it. That's what enables all that integration magic. And Moreno sort of positions this Chinese model, this deep sector integration powered by data, as a kind of benchmark or reference in the smart city world, doesn't he?
That's certainly how it comes across in the chapter, yes. As a notable approach for achieving a really high level of coordination and efficiency in cities, the aim being better resource use, better services, and ultimately a better quality of life by leveraging data across domains that used to be pretty separate.
Okay, so let's recap. We've done our deep dive into Chapter 4 of Smart Cities, China's Model of Success by Eduardo Moreno. We've looked at how this chapter outlines China's approach to data governance. First, covering those absolutely critical foundations, security and privacy, and then moving into that really ambitious strategy of sector integration using data to weave together energy, transport, healthcare, public services, and more.
And Moreno makes it clear, this whole comprehensive approach, it needs that strong infrastructure and powerful analytics. It's all geared towards optimizing how resources are used, making services run much more efficiently, and at the end of the day, enhancing the quality of life for people living in these cities.
It really comes through in the chapter that the strategic handling and knitting together of data isn't just like an add-on for this smart city model. It feels like the fundamental operating system.
That's a good way to put it. It enables everything else to function in that more connected, intelligent way he describes.
So, thinking about all this, What does it mean for you listening to this when you think about smart cities? Maybe the one you live in or ones you read about. If data truly is the backbone, enabling everything from privacy safeguards, however imperfect, right through to citywide efficiency. Well, it raises a question, doesn't it? How does understanding the specifics of how data is governed, the mechanisms, the goals, like Moreno describes, how does that change your view on how smart a city actually is? And what that smartness really means for the day-to-day lives of the people there? Definitely something to chew on until our next deep dive.